some news coming out of Manchester United. Dan, what can you tell us?
A bit of an update for you, Will. Manchester United and Micheal Carrick have reached a verbal agreement for him to become the interim head coach until the end of the season, getting ever closer to officially confirming him as interim head coach until the end of the season. Negotiations went on late last night, and we've been told when all the outstanding issues were ironed out, the contractual details are now being finalised by lawyers, and all of those final details. We're expecting Carrick to sign that all-important paperwork and confirm his position as Manchester United's newest interim head coach later this afternoon. Now, we'll bring you those pictures as soon as we can, but we've also just heard that Micheal Carrick and Director of Football Jason Wilcox have arrived at Carrington as of 5 or 10 minutes ago. So all of this is heading in that trajectory of Carrick officially being confirmed later on today of their new head coach. And look, both sides are keen to get this done as soon as possible, really. We've been telling you all morning, the players are due back into training tomorrow to prepare for the Manchester derby on Saturday against Manchester City. And look, Carrick also, it's important to say that he will know a lot of this squad. He'll know the likes of Bruno Fernandes, Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire. So it'll be very interesting to see what it's like when he first meets them, again, having left the club 3 years ago, having worked under Jose Mourinho and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But just to recap that news, Manchester United and Micheal Carrick have now reached a verbal agreement for him to take over as an interim head coach until the end of the season.
Dan, thank you very much. So there we go, starting to move the news at Old Trafford, Jeff. And Dan mentioned the next game, the Manchester derby at Old Trafford on Saturday. Guess what's after that? A trip to the Emirates, Arsenal away. I mean, if you're going to get those guys on side, those fans, those doubters, those cynics that perhaps thinks, let's move quicker and faster than someone like Micheal Carrick. He actually then plays his old team, Tottenham and West Ham, to come. It's going to be a busy few weeks, but what an opportunity for him.
Yeah, massive. Every game in the Premier League's big, but if he can get the players to, put a good performance in, one that the fans will like, that'll be, his first protocol. And then if he can pick up points out of them games, because I don't think realistically people outside of being United fans, they don't give United a chance to win the next two games. So if he can pick up points, it'll definitely get people on side.
I was just going to say as well, interesting off the back of your chat with Dermot there about Xavi Alonso. He was the hottest young manager in Europe, wasn't he, after what he did at Bayer Leverkusen? Takes a big job at Real Madrid, arguably the biggest club in the world, and it's all gone up in smoke inside 8 months. Who was the hottest European manager before Xavi Alonso? Ruben Amorim, after what he did at Sporting, gets a job at a massive club and it all goes terribly wrong as well. So perhaps a cautionary tale there. I don't know.
What do you make of this as a move, even if it is going to be just until the end of the season, or is it? And how do the likes of Jason Wilcox and Omar Barada deal with this behind the scenes? Are we set for, this is the point I'm trying to get to, another Ole Gunnar Solskjaer moment where actually he overachieves? What's overachieving? There's a million questions here for you to unpack. Say, for example, he finishes in the Champions League spots. He's only a point now, Manchester United, off what will be a Champions League spot, 5th. So if he does that and he gets Manchester United playing the Manchester United way, there'll be a clamour again, won't they? Will they not be in the same sort of boat? And forget then talking about your Ancelottis and your Glasners and your Iraolas in the summer.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a hard place for the club. You're giving it to Carrick, who has gone out and done well and learned his trade a little bit, you'd say. And personally, I've played against his team at Middlesbrough and they were flying, and it felt like they'd snuck one or two extra players on the way he had them playing. It was really, really nice. Obviously, not for me against him, but no, I think he's a good manager, and if he comes in, and does well, overachieve, as you say, there is a shout where ex-players might even be saying, give him the contract, whatever. But I think overachieving or getting into the Champions League spots, it's quite realistic for them. They've nothing in their way now. They're not in any cups. They've got just Saturday to Saturday games, or they've got a week break in between where he can implement what he wants the players to do. And I think he is a good coach. He's had a great career, a good footballer himself. So,
but that insight in terms of a player behind the scenes, what they would be thinking, because equally I imagine running a business like Manchester United, you can't say to him, by the way, no matter what you do, you're not getting the job next season, because what the players pick up on that. Oh, well, we know he's not going to be the gaffer next year. It's a mess, isn't it, if you work like that?
But then if you look at it and he does do well, and they have said that to him, his name is in the hat when it comes to the summer, and he will be up against, say, other managers they're looking at. And
it's a chance for him to put himself in the shop window as well, isn't it? And perhaps be Manchester United manager 2 or 3 managers down the line.
Which is a great opportunity, bearing in mind he was sacked by Middlesbrough in the Championship.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of coming back to the club that he loves so dearly, that it's going to be, the vibes will be like when Van Nistelrooy was there. You know, they're going to love having Micheal Carrick back. He's already been a caretaker there, of course, as well. How much power do you think the players have in all of this? I'm just looking at a lot of the papers from this morning. Again, all reports, but apparently a select group of the Manchester United leadership players made it clear that they were concerned that they didn't want Ole Gunnar Solskjaer back.
Yeah, maybe. Well, they might have seen Carrick's name floating about, and they thought, we've heard good things about him. We want him in. They might have just been asked loosely, how was it the last time Ole was in taking control? So we don't know what they actually said, but I think why not give Carrick a go and see how he does till the end of the season, and then if he does well, it's in the hands of the board, and they can say, do you know what? Here's another year. They don't have to give out maybe a 4 or 5 year contract to him and then sack him. And I suppose he did get sacked by Middlesbrough, but every manager gets sacked at the end of the day, so I don't think they can let that affect them.
It's increasingly becoming a thing, isn't it, these days, that you know, a club will fire a manager halfway through the season and bring in, quote unquote, a safe pair of hands until the end of the season, and it's invariably somebody who, again, quote unquote, knows the club. So, you know, you look back a few seasons ago, it was Frank Lampard at Chelsea. Now it's Micheal Carrick at Manchester United. Martin O'Neill is obviously doing it at Celtic now as well. It's just somebody bringing in who understands the sort of DNA, if you like, of the club, who can just guide them through to the summer. And we know after the World Cup, the likes of Carlo Ancelotti, Thomas Tuchel, probably fresh from winning the World Cup with England, Mauricio Pochettino, they're all going to be on the market, aren't they? So I think a lot of clubs you'll see just try to sort of guide somebody to guide the club through to the summer, and then we'll move for a big name then. And
on top of that, you think someone like Carrick, actually when you look at Chelsea, we don't know how that's going to pan out with Liam Rosenior there. I think he's a seriously impressive guy, and Chelsea fans should be excited, but he's been in the fabric of the football club with Strasbourg, working for the company. You could argue that with Micheal Carrick, right? I'm not saying he's a yes man and a puppet, but he will work within the structure of what they want. He's not going to upset the apple cart. This could be the long-term answer.
Yeah, it
people
could be.
aren't suggesting.
Yeah, like you said, he knows the club, and he probably loves the club. He might still live around the area, so for him it might suit him just to go in, steady the ship. You look at a lot of the ex-players, even Ole, saying doesn't matter what the contract is, I'll go in and help the club. So people are just happy to go in and, you know, try and help United to become a better club again.
Micheal Carrick also on an interim basis, an announcement expected either today or tomorrow. Let's get more on this. I'm very pleased to say very good morning to former Man U goalkeeper, a man who played with Micheal Carrick actually, Ben Foster. Morning, Ben.
Good morning, Ben. How you doing? Yeah, good, thank you. Morning, lads. Morning, everybody.
Look, let's not go into the interim replacing an interim once again, but focus on Micheal Carrick. You know him. How well suited to the job do you think he'd be, and how well do you think he did at Borough?
I think he's perfect for what they need right now. Whether it's long term, I think that remains to be seen. The next sort of 4 months of the season will tell us all we need to know. But for now, he's just nice and calm, Michael is. He really is. He's nice and calm. He never gets too excited, never gets too carried away. He's the kind of person where you never really know what he's thinking because he is so calm and he's always got it under control. You never really know what he's thinking. And I think that carries a weight of respect, if you know what I mean. And I think him going into that dressing room, I think the lads will look up to him a little bit. And whether it's the answer or not, like I say, I think the rest of the season is going to prove that for us.
Ben, tell me, mate, how difficult is it, do you think, for Manchester United players right at this moment in time, you know, getting into that dressing room, getting into training every day, and more importantly, getting out onto that pitch? Because I'm looking at it, and I said to Jeff a few weeks back regarding the signings, I like to look at, I know they've got a few away, Amadiala's away, and AFCON as in Buema's the exact same, but I looked at the signings, particularly in forward areas. Sesko aside, who incidentally the last couple of games has looked livelier, but I looked at the signings and I'm saying to myself, for the first time in a little while, they actually look like United players, and you know what I mean by that. Obviously they can play and they're talented, but they can handle playing at United. Are United players at this moment in time, they're clearly not handling playing at United?
I think it's the hardest club in the world to play for, Manchester United.
Yeah.
The media attention that they get is so intense, and unless mentally you're able to cope with all of the noise, then you're on the back foot from the get-go. I've seen Man United sign 9 out of 10 ability-wise players, and as soon as they put that red shirt on, it turns them into a 6 out of 10. The weight of it is so heavy. And I think that's what they need to start really identifying first and foremost. Is obviously the world-class players. You need world-class players, but you've got to have people that are able to deal with. I mean, I've been there myself. I put a Manchester United shirt on and I felt that weight and I couldn't deal with it. You know, I like to think I'm a fairly grown-up kind of together person. I couldn't deal with the weight of it. So I really do feel for a lot of these Manchester United players. If you look at the quality though, I was watching the Brighton game the other night, and man for man, in fairness, Brighton, you sort of like half a dozen and 6 of each. They're very sort of similar ability-wise. I just think the gap has closed so much now in football that Manchester United fans, probably most football fans, Liverpool, they've got no divine right to expect results and 3 points and trophies come the end of the season anymore.
See, I think that's brilliant, but I've got to say, because there'll be supporters. I'm understanding you, and I'm getting it 100%. But there'll be supporters up and down the country, football fans up and down the country saying, well, what are you talking about? It's just a matter of putting on a jersey, going into training and doing your work. But it is more than that, mate.
The noise is phenomenal, isn't it, Ali? The noise is absolutely, it's everywhere. It's like this morning, Manchester United, they haven't played for a couple of days, but they're still the first topic. Yeah. The first topic that people want to talk about and they want to hear about, and have they got the new manager yet? Or he's just been sacked, and apparently he wants to move. So there's always some sort of noise about it. Everything is scrutinised so much, and obviously with the rise of social media, people just have this weird little portal into these players' lives now, which was never used to be there. It never used to be there, but now they can get at people, and I think the young kids who have grown up on the mobile phones, they are susceptible to reading that kind of stuff as well.
I know what you mean, Ben, completely about the weight of the shirt, but isn't the truth of the matter that a lot of these United players, they're not just world class, they're just not good enough?
I think they've got some world-class players. I think across the board, though, there are better squads. There's probably 3 or 4 or 5 better squads of players. But I just think that as soon as they do go out onto that pitch, they have to deal with an awful lot more pressure.
Ben, you know what I'm going to ask you? Outside of Bruno Fernandes, who are their world-class players?
Matheus Cunha. I'm having Matheus Cunha right up there. I think Brian Mbeumo, when he's fit and popping as well, I'm having Brian Mbeumo all day long as well.
Well, his centre-backs got a World Cup medal as well into the bargain.
You think he's world class?
I don't know. I don't know if he is, but he's got a World Cup medal.
Yeah, but that doesn't necessarily make you world class. It means you're part of a World Cup winning team.
It's not bad to have in your CV right enough.
No, of course it's not.
I think this just all goes back to, if you're looking at squad, look at the Brighton squad against them the other day. They might not have better individuals, but as a team, collectively, I think they all work better together, seamlessly work better together. They gel more. They can play more off the cuff. They play without this fear. And that's the bit that holds a lot of Manchester United players back. Like Man United have signed world-class players for. They've signed World Cup winners. And as soon as they put that shirt on, even World Cup winners, you watch them, Casemiro, and you think, wow, like, you're not the player that we used to watch at Real Madrid.
Yeah, complete.